Hello class, it's Mrs. Durst, and today we are painting the water of our water lily piece. And we are going to use our watercolors. And on the canvas page, you can see all the different ways that Claude Monet brought color into the water. He used the reflection of the light from the sky in his water. He also painted water that was colors that you can't understand, but they're just so beautiful. Then there are times he painted his water as if you could see through it, and you think you see what's at the bottom of the pond. So there's really so many ways to make your water look fantastic. So I'm going to use watercolors today. And the other thing you want to have close by and have some help maybe from an adult is some salt. Now you can use coarse salt or you can use table salt. Today, this is what Mrs. Durst has. All kinds of salt create different forms, but we want our water to have some really unique blobs, and this creates some patterns in our watercolor paint that kind of mimic Claude Monet's paintbrush work. So, at least that's the goal. So, let's turn this camera around and let's get started. Okay, I have my watercolor pans all ready. Now, we want to paint this whole piece of paper. So I have my cup of water here. I'm gonna move my, there we go. That'll work. Let me just fix my camera slightly there. There we go. Come in. Okay, good. So I'm going to take some water on my brush, clean water, and I'm going to move some water onto this piece. We are calling this wet on wet. It's a type of watercolor process. So my paper feels damp now because I just brushed some water into it. Now, when I go to my paint, I'm going to start with just a simple blue. It really moves through my piece of paper. It moves around very effectively. Now, like I showed you, the more and different colors that you blend into your water will just make it look that much more interesting. So go ahead and bring in all kinds of colors, purples, greens, blues. You know, some of his looked even red if you want some of that in your water. It's really up to you. I'm doing a pond. So I'm using some greens and some blues together as if my water is a little, you know, pond-like, but I really am liking this purple, honestly. So I think I'm gonna do mine mostly in purple and blue now that I've really got going here. And again, you just wanna move as much onto this paper as you can. Okay, and then it's a lot of work to get all of this paper covered, but the most important thing is to enjoy the process. And that means enjoy using your brush across this big paper and enjoy just allowing the colors to blend throughout this piece. Ooh, what's this color? I'm gonna try this. Ooh, it's another violet looking color. That's pretty. I like that blue a lot with that violet. Oh, I haven't tried this green. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good too in there. So I'm just using all the colors, and you might notice I'm using cool colors. So I decided to use just cool colors. So now I'm putting more water on my paper. I'm making more water. My paper is definitely wet. You can see it's, hopefully you can see it, it's shiny. This part of my paper is shiny here. So that's an indication that I got it wet. I'm just gonna keep rubbing in these beautiful colors. into my water, okay? Just keep enjoying it. Sometimes I put really nice music on if we're at school. So if you wanted to, you could put on some really pretty music while you painted your water. It's really up to you. I'll take some of whatever that is. Ooh, that's different. So I'm really giving it a lot of color. And this particular paper really works into the paper. So I don't know how much our salt will have an effect, but we shall see. So here we go. Now this paper is full of color. I do not want any white spots. Down here, I see white spots. So I'm going right to the edge with my colors and saying, nope, I don't want any white spots. So I'm coloring this in as completely as one can, all the way to the edges. You'll be so much more happy if you get all these colors all the way to the edges. Sometimes you forget the edges. And I don't think you want to on this one. I think you want your water full and all the way. Boy, I missed a lot of my edges. So I'm glad I thought of that. And now, here's what I'm going to do next. I am going to go back and add even more color. I want this to be rich. So I'm going back and I am going to brush in even deeper colors and add some water to it, because sometimes watercolor paints will, I don't want to call it fade, but when they dry, their intensity goes down a level. So you want to put a pretty intense layer of watercolor paint on your piece in order to really get an end result that is really full of color. All right. Oh, this is fun. I'm so glad to be doing this with you guys. This is going to turn out so great. Okay, so there is my final piece. I'm pretty happy with it. I am going to try salt. Now, I've noticed that this paper really sucks in the color, so I'm not sure how much salt will have an effect, but we're going to try it. So I'm just putting on some salt, and I'm going to let this dry. Now this has to dry absolutely completely, okay? So I'm just putting on a nice good layer of salt, and I'm going to basically let this piece dry overnight with the salt on it, okay? And yeah, it's very damp, it's very wet, so I don't know. We'll see if the salt does something fabulous. We don't know until we see what happens sometimes. That's what's fun about art, is you just don't know. And that's what's great. And we always know, whatever we do, we put our heart into it and we worked our best. And until we see each other next time, enjoy.